turn the floor over to Randy Levine.
Thanks, Ryan, and thank you all for being here. Happy holidays to all of you. On behalf of the Steinbrenner family and the New York Yankees, welcome to Yankee Stadium. It's really gratifying. This is the 10th anniversary of the new Era Pinstripe Bowl. I remember sitting here 10 years ago when we announced it, and all the usual gloom and doomers, oh, it'll never last, you can't have a college bowl game in New York, and as usual, they were all wrong. And so we're delighted to have everybody here, and especially on this 10th anniversary, to have two great institutions, Wake Forest and Michigan State, two fabulous academic institutions, two athletic institutions that are nationally known, with great athletic directors and great, head coaches. I'm so delighted. My friend John Curry from Wake Forest is here, the athletic director, because he had a real role in the first Pinstripe Bowl. At the time, he was the athletic director of Kansas State, who played the first Pinstripe Bowl, and so it's quite an honor to welcome him back. Of course, Coach Clawson spent a lot of time here in the Bronx. He'll tell you a little about it at Fordham. So it's great to have him coming home. And Coach and Bill, it's wonderful to welcome you guys here. And this, hopefully, for the next month and thereafter, will be your home also. Yankee Stadium is the greatest sports venue in the world. Everybody in the world knows it. And everybody in the world loves playing here. It's when we see college athletes come here, or baseball players or soccer players, they all say we want to play in Yankee Stadium. It's memorable because of all the great events and athletes, including great college football games that have taken place and been inside this building for decades and decades. And as you can see from the weather outside, football, we always thought, should be played in cold weather, but you never know what you're going to get. Today in New York, it's 60 degrees, and we've had games in snow and blizzards and games in 60 degrees. That's what makes it so interesting. And maybe one day we'll start a game at 60 degrees and have snow by the end of it. That'll be really great. There are a lot of great cities and a lot of great bowl games, but there's only one New York City. As the Pope said many years ago, New York City is the capital of the world. And this is the most intriguing and fascinating time to be here, the holiday season. As I always say every year, they make movies about New York City, and they write songs, and they have Broadway shows about this time of the year. They don't do that for any other city. So we're going to have your kids do all of the most incredible things that are in New York City, from going to the New York Stock Exchange, to Rockefeller Center, and Radio City Music Hall, and One World Observatory, and the 9/11 Memorial. It's going to be a great educational and fun trip for them, and they'll be able to experience things they never have in a lifetime. So we're so happy to have you here. We welcome you. It's going to be great. First time ever Wake Forest and Michigan State are ever going to meet. Two great conferences, and we expect the 10th anniversary game to be a great game.
For your student athletes and this unique opportunity to get to experience that here at Yankee Stadium in New York around the holidays.
Well, I think a bowl experience for any football team is important for a whole lot of practical reasons, in terms of getting extra practice and more experience and freshmen becoming sophomores. But I think from my perspective, we talk at Michigan State about our student athletes being great on the field of play, great in the classroom, and great in life. And when we think about this experience, it really touches on all of those things, insofar as New York City is just an extraordinary classroom for our young people, and the experience that the Pinstripe Bowl will allow them to have will be just first rate in every respect. Things, history lessons like the 9/11 site, and so I think that it'll be extremely meaningful. It's the perfect place to have an academic and athletic lesson like that for our young people. Some of them have never been here before, so we're just couldn't be more excited and thrilled to have this opportunity.
Coach Dantonio, what has been the part of this experience that you're most looking forward to bringing your team here?
Well, we have a great opponent in Wake Forest. I've already watched film here for about a day or so. But also the opportunity to come to New York City for our football team, for our players. Many of them have not been here. They've just heard about it. They were from the Midwest. This is our 12th bowl game in 13 years. So the experiences that we've had in each of these games have been very, very positive. And as Bill said, we're trying to create life moments a little bit for our football team. And it's about growth. Have an opportunity to come to New York City and be here for 4 or 5 days, you're going to grow as a person. You have an opportunity to play in a football game like this, you're going to grow. And every coach that I have talked to that has been at this football game, especially the Big Ten coaches, have said tremendous things about the experience, the way it's been run, first-class organization, all the different things that they've experienced. So we're really looking forward to it, and making it the 10th anniversary, it makes it even a little bit more special.
When you have a young team, such as you guys do, I mean, how important and what kind of momentum does it create to end your season with a bowl win going into the next year?
Well, we're not where we want to be. You know, we're a 6-6 football team right now, you know, but there's a lot of things that go into that, whether it's injuries or whatever the case along the way. But my focus and our focus is always what comes next. What comes next for us is trying to be 7-6, and there's been years where we've followed that 7-6 year with great moments. So we're going to just try and always look towards the future and make it the best. And so that's what we'll do this year.
Just to let you know, something to look forward. Of course, Wisconsin was here last year, and they're in the Rose Bowl this year.
There you go. The correct springboard.
It's the mindset.
You look at Michigan State. You talk about football tradition. You know, CFP semifinals, Rose Bowls, so many top 10 finishes. You can't even top 10 rankings. You can't even count them on one hand. And of course, Lon talked about that game in 1966 on the submarine. Well, I remember it was because it was probably the first college football game that I remember seeing. Duffy Doherty and Ara Parsegian, I think, were the coaches. Mm-hmm. Bubba Smith, Terry Hanratty, Rocky Blyer. I was 7 years old, and that was my first college football game that I remember. And Michigan State was part of it. You know, what history. So there's such great tradition, and that obviously we believe is going to resonate here very well. And Wake Forest, boy, do you check some of the boxes there as well. I mean, John mentioned it. Let's talk about a winning tradition the last few years under Coach Clawson. Most people don't realize that other than Clemson, they've won more ACC games in the last few years than any other ACC school. Then also the all-conference players that you have. It's truly remarkable. And of course, we have a very close personal connection with both Coach Clawson here and John. John talked about the first game, and he was very modest about it. We happened to have about 2 feet of snow for that first game. And believe it or not, John was able to bring, everyone had to fly in from Manhattan, Kansas, and not all the flights got in here. John was able to bring over 7,000 people from Manhattan, Kansas here for the game, and a lot of the flights were canceled. And if he can do that for that game, you can just imagine what he'll be able to do for this game. And Coach, Fordham, the tradition at Fordham, you took an 0-11 team?
Well, actually, Coach had 0-11 team.
and you turned it around in the space of a few years. You have the connections here. There's obviously a lot of relevance here. And I was at your alumni function last night. I mean, you check all the boxes. And that's why we believe both of these fine institutions will just resonate, so well here, for the game. And we're very pleased with our selections.
To be a bunch of black and gold. This is, in some ways, even though Coach Clawson has been to 3 consecutive bowl games as he's rebuilt Wake Forest into the program that's won more games in the Atlantic Coast Conference than any other team over the last 3 years, except for the one that's orange and that is playing in the semifinals. That team's Wake Forest, but most people don't know that. Most people don't know that Wake Forest is 30-18 against North Carolina State, and Duke this century. So this stage, as Randy said, the biggest stage in the world, is the perfect opportunity to showcase that Wake Forest brand, a top 30 national university in a football program that we believe, under Coach Clawson's leadership, is going to continue on a championship path.
Well, Coach Clawson, as Randy talked about, you are very familiar with this borough, having coached Fordham quite successfully from 1999 through 2003. What are some of your fondest memories of being in the Bronx?
Oh, I mean, it was my first head job. I was 31 years old. I'll now admit to the people at Fordham, I had no idea what I was doing. And I learned really how to be a head coach at Fordham, and just so many great memories. In '02, we won the Patriot League Championship, and just Father Joseph O'Hare, who's the president at Fordham forever, and just a great man, watching this guy chug down from the stands and jump me and give me a big bear hug is a really special memory. But we spent 5 years here as a family, and our children were born when we were here. I met my wife in New York City. I got on my knees on the streets of New York and proposed to my wife, and we got married in New York. So New York has always been a place that's special to me and our family, and certainly our experiences at Fordham, and we're thrilled to be back.
As Randy and Lon often talk about, college football was such a passion for the boss, George M. Steinbrenner III, and the trophy you will play for is named after the boss. And I know the boss is someone you got to meet quite a few times in college.
I did. I graduated from Williams College, which is the alma mater of George Steinbrenner, and it was very normal to see him up there. So I met him at a hockey game. I went to school with Hal, who was 2 years younger than me at Williams. Every year when I go to the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame dinner, the head coach at Williams, who coached me, Dick Farley, would always sit at the boss's table, and every year I'd come up here and have a chance to interact with Mr. Steinbrenner. So, George was a larger-than-life figure, just not in New York, but at Williams College. And to be in Yankee Stadium and play for an organization that he built makes it even more special.
For your students, what stands out to you knowing what the week's going to be like in New York?
Well, I think as others have said, to me what's most exciting is seeing those young people who've never experienced a city like New York, and many have not, to see the look on their eyes. They come in on the bus and see the tall buildings and the activity and the hustle and bustle, and then get to experience the 9/11 site and the historic nature of that. As Mark said, some of them not even alive at that time. And just to live that experience through their eyes in this spectacular place, I think will be really special.
And Coach Dantonio, we have a football question for you. Just as far as your actual opponent goes, what are going to be the biggest challenges for you come December 27th?
Well, they do a great job, I think, defensively, giving you different looks. Offensively, doing a lot of unique things, I think, when you look at it across the board. You have an opportunity to coach at Michigan State for 13 years, and some of the things that I've seen in the last day are things that are new, are a little bit new, the way they do things. So I'm interested in that. But the one thing that I can echo is got a good football team, extremely well-coached football team, and they come to play, and that's going to be exciting for our guys.
Randy, before we wrap things up here and look forward to December 27th, want to give you a chance for some final comments.
Well, I think everything's been said. I just wanted to take a moment to thank Commissioners Spofford and Delaney. The Yankees partner with outstanding institutions, and the Atlantic Coast Conference and the Big Ten are two of the great institutions. So I wanted to just thank both the commissioners for their leadership on the 10th anniversary, and thank them for being part of this tradition.
We are all looking forward to it. Thank you to all of you who have watched on the Yes Network.